All right, good evening. Well, I guess afternoon, everybody. We'll get started in just a minute. Let me verify that we actually have working audio. Good evening. Yeah, we do. That's always a first. Just be in mind, keep in mind here, folks, that this camera battery may die. I actually don't have my dummy battery with me. It's actually out in the car. So at some point, I will probably have to switch this back to one of these USB cameras. But for now, we're going to roll with it. So if you do lose my video, just it'll come back shortly. I may have to switch to a lower quality camera temporarily. We do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here in eastern New York. Let's take a look here at Radar Omega. First, I'm going to switch this over to our higher resolution image here by the closest radar site. Keep in mind, again, folks, no active watches at this time, but we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings. These yellow boxes, a little bit hard to see with the SPC day 1 there, but areas including Albany, New York, and areas northeast almost crossing into the Vermont border there is under a severe thunderstorm warning. And if we go ahead and play these radar frames back here for a couple of minutes, we can see that over the past 45 minutes or so, these storms have actually been training following relatively the same path here in this southwest northeast configuration, moving off into the Vermont area. Yeah, thanks for joining me, everyone. We are not chasing this today. It would have put us out of position for possibly later this week. There is a potential that maybe on day 3, 4, and 5, we could be back out in the plains for some very, very, very low-end severe weather risks. Storm Prediction Center hasn't even put out a marginal risk or anything yet, but I'm definitely keeping my eye on it because at this point we'll kind of take anything. So if we go ahead and take a zoomed out view all the way down here to the southwest near I-84, we've got a special weather statement. That special weather statement is expiring here in just a couple of minutes. It's for gusty winds. And we have a special weather statement up here as well surrounding those severe thunderstorm warnings, but those severe thunderstorm warnings take precedence over it. Anybody that's in this yellow circle today, you can see this area of slight risk right here. That's the slight risk for severe weather. So anybody, if you do live in there or if you live close to it, even just around it, you do have a potential at seeing some strong storms today. Now, I would assume here that anybody in this northwestern half of that slight risk in here is probably on the home stretch. They're probably all right. I think now that this line of broken storms has moved through here, it's going to pose less of a threat later this afternoon. But we could see some redevelopment here to the northwest of Albany, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. No, Bob, the black hat is because I need a haircut really bad. But yeah, I agree. In fact, we should probably change our background color today for fun. There's an app for the background lights here, so also not in the camera frame. What should we go with? Red? Should probably go with red. Yeah, we'll go with red. How's that? Yeah, thanks again for joining me, everybody. We are preparing for some more live storm chasing later on this week. We'll see what comes of it. Like I said, I don't think that it's going to be any sort of, slight, enhanced, or moderate risk, but we could have a marginal risk that we may want to contend with. And lately, that's been all we can get. Out in the plains like Nebraska, Kansas, even a marginal risk can sometimes produce really pretty supercells. But by the way, these severe thunderstorm warnings are for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and they're in effect for the next couple of minutes here. So areas to the northeast of Albany, New York, areas along Highway 7 and 67, approaching Bennington and Arlington, Vermont, you folks want to be watching out because these storms are moving into your area. They are moving off to the east-northeast, as well as areas like Salem and Dorset. These you folks will eventually be impacted by these as well. Let me see what the actual storm motion is on these here. 25 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and draw a storm track here on these. All right, so Radar Omega has a tool that we can actually look at a storm track. So we actually, this southern part of this cell will be in Oak Hill in 3 minutes, White Creek in 11, Ash Grove in 14, Arlington Arlington, Vermont in 30 minutes, West Arlington in 32 minutes, Kansas in 35, and Sandgate in 41. There's 15,000 people just in this blue polygon here that I drew. Oops. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on this northern portion of the storm. The northern portion of the storm that's near Salem here, that should be near Tip Lady in about 6 minutes. East Hebron in 7, North Rupert in 24, Danby in 38 minutes. So these storms are moving off to the east or to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. And again, we are looking here just north of Albany, New York. Will it be going into northwest Massachusetts? Well, we can see northwest Massachusetts right here. Anybody that's not familiar. And this severe thunderstorm warning right here is pretty close. However, these storms are moving off to the northeast. So anything that impacts this area, western Massachusetts in general, is going to have to come from down here. Oops. So these storms down here, potentially as they move off to the northeast, could impact you folks here in western and northwestern Massachusetts. So yes, right now there's not an immediate threat, but I'm really watching this isolated cell because as these storms move off to the northeast, they're also going to have a bit of an east component as well. So that should bring that entire line a little bit farther to the east. Even farther south, we've got some cells here that are trying to pop up down near Danbury, Connecticut. We've had some try to fire here in northwest Connecticut, but you can see that they have fizzled out here as they move off to the northeast. It's possible that we've got some capping issues or some moisture issues in that area. So it's unknown right now if you folks in western Massachusetts are going to see any severe weather, but it is definitely a possibility. But if you do see severe weather, it most likely will come from this round of storms here as it moves off to the northeast. Folks, oh, right here, yeah. So it looks like this storm has already passed through Schenectady, New York. So this storm's already passed through. You can see that town right here, and our storm is way over here. So that's the storm's gone through there. I don't think it was severe warned at that point, but these storms are moving off to the northeast. So anybody that's back here is probably in the clear, but don't write it off just yet. Let's wait until the Storm Prediction Center trims off this section of the slight risk, which they probably will in about 45 minutes. Well, I'll stay live here until we have that guidance from them because I think that they will probably trim off the northwest half of that. Let me make sure that we still have access to this. So we have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect right now. We have one for Albany, New York area, one for the Washington, New York area, and we've also got one out in Arizona. So let me go ahead and take a look at that real quick. All right, so we do have a severe thunderstorm warning out here near Tucson, Arizona as well. And look at this tiny little thunderstorm. Are you kidding me? So this yellow box here is a severe thunderstorm warning for areas south of I-10, but north of the Mexican border there. In fact, we've actually got a strong cell that's erupting here just south of Bisbee, right on the international border, going to be traveling off to the northeast. We'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. These storms here near Benson and Sierra Vista, again, are severe thunderstorm warned for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. At 12:01 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so about 18 minutes ago, severe thunderstorms were 8 miles east. I'm sorry, we're 9 miles north of Sierra Vista, moving northeast at 10. There's not much to the storms here, as you can see. They are most likely were warned for these storms right back there when they developed, but they are quickly fizzling out as they move off to the northeast, but still probably posing some outflow threats. But then we've also got to keep an eye on, like I said, this one here southwest of Bisbee. We've also got a storm trying to form there to the south of Tucson, but it's not doing so well. This one up here near Benson is beginning to erupt, but if it follows in the footsteps of any of its pals here, it probably won't last too long either. So anybody there southeast of Tucson, in, let's see, what county is that? In Pima, Cochise, and Santa Cruz County, you folks are under a severe thunderstorm warning for 25 more minutes. Somebody in the chat here used to live in Tucson. I wouldn't mind. I've never really been, well, I've been out to Arizona in the Southwest before several times, but I've never really spent a significant amount of time there, and I think that needs to change at some point. I'm going to go ahead and remove our slight risk for severe weather from the screen, just so we have better contrast. Lowell, Massachusetts. I don't know exactly. Okay, I do see Lowell on the map here. Lowell, Massachusetts. Someone's asking about. Folks, our line of storms is over here, so we've got quite a ways between there and Lowell. So I wouldn't expect anything, you know, in the short term here. Lowell, it's about 100 miles to your west right now. So for these storms to get here, now keep in mind that these storms are not only moving to the northeast, this entire line is also moving a little bit east. So not only do these storms have that northeast component, this entire line is shifting off to the east. So I don't know what the integrity of this line of storms will be once it reaches Lowell, but I would imagine that it would probably be somewhat less intense. Let me turn that severe weather risk area back on. Okay, Lowell, you guys are just outside of the slight risk for severe weather, just as is with Boston, but you are still in this green marginal risk area, so you do still have a chance at seeing a severe thunderstorm or two, but it's not as likely as it is further west. So I would say you've got a couple of more hours at least before you would have any storms in the Lowell area. Zachary says the HRRR does show this linear system expanding quite a bit in the next few hours. It does. It's been a little bit since I've looked at the HRRR, but I do agree with you. This thing could evolve a little bit more maturely. What we'll probably see happen is I wouldn't be surprised if this line fills in. These storms down here, once they move off to the northeast into a better environment, may become a little more stout and form a stronger line that could charge off to the northeast. So we're going to stay live for at least another hour or so. Detroit, Michigan, probably nothing to worry about today for Detroit. You are not in any risk for severe weather, that I know of anyway. And if I miss your chat comment, folks, you are welcome to ask it again. Typically, it's just because I miss it. It's on screen over here, but it goes by really, really quickly. But thanks for joining me and supporting us YouTubers out here, us storm chasing YouTubers. Being live and having support from you folks is extremely important because it allows us, when we are out there chasing storms, blowing a bunch of money on gas and everything, to have an audience. So thank you everybody for being such an awesome, awesome group of folks here. Tim's not very impressed with that Arizona storm. I'm not either right now. I think that was mainly kind of issued kind of a trigger pull right there by them down there, that one near the international border. Typically, storms down there, especially these monsoon storms down in the southwest, are not very impressive on radar, but that one's really not impressive, but still could have some outflow winds as that thing falls apart. Can I forecast rain for southwest Missouri? I could. I don't know if it would be very accurate, though. It's going to be really, really hot in the central part of the country. So yeah, if southwest Missouri, you're going to get really hot this week. Angelique says false fall is leaving. Yeah, you're right. We had our practice run of the fall season here over the past couple of days. Keep in mind, folks, if you're just jumping in, this is a line of severe storms from Albany all the way up almost to Manchester Center. We're in eastern New York here, just crossing into Vermont. If you're in the path of these storms that are in these yellow boxes here, do prepare for strong winds and some small hail. Christopher has his trash cans way down. Yeah, that's definitely always a good idea. I can't argue with that. What's going on with tropical storms right now? Barb, hang on 1 second. We just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. I will go to that in a moment. Remind me, though, because I might forget. Hey, back at you. Okay, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning now in Vermont. This is for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Let me see if I can get let me see if I can pull that here. Surprised that our thing hasn't gone off for it. There it is.
There is one new severe thunderstorm warning for Vermont.
I was wondering about that. It just took a minute. So at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 2:23 p.m. Central Time, which is where I am, severe storms are located along a line from from near Salem to near Arlington to near Hoosick Falls, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and take a look at this storm one more time here. So this is our severe thunderstorm warning. This box right here into Vermont is brand new. That is a new severe thunderstorm warning and includes much of Highway 7 here. Looks like Dorset Peak is included, parts of Highway 11 and 30 as well. Looks like a fairly rural area. We've got Arlington, Manchester City, and Dorset here going to be impacted pretty quick. There probably is a wall of wind just out in front of this precipitation here. The outflow wind, as we would call it. So I would not be surprised if you get a little bit of gusty wind before the actual rain starts falling. Let's go ahead and look at this on velocity and see if we can pick out any of that wind. Not really, but there is, it does look like we've got some pockets of more intense wind down here. These brighter reds indicate some stronger wind. Let me try base velocity for a moment. Yeah, so there's a stronger, I would say right now the most intense portion of the storm is to the west of Hoosick, moving off to the northeast, but this entire warned area should be exercising caution, especially if you're out on the roadways, as there could be some small hail and everything. Storms in Arizona might be strengthening. I'll go back and take a look at those here in just a minute. I want to go ahead and pull up the National Hurricane Center website. A couple of folks had asked about this. This is the National Hurricane Center website, so we've actually got, this is open to anybody. You can look at this anytime. You can actually go to nhc.noaa.gov or just Google National Hurricane Center. This is the 5-day tropical weather outlook. You can see right here the yellowish, the orangish, reddish circle, that orange circle with the X. That's actually an area that's got a 40% chance of a cyclone forming in the next 5 days, 30% of which it could form in the next 48. Now you can see that actually tracks it over the islands and into Puerto Rico. So we need to watch this one very, very carefully. The models are not indicating that this will likely become anything that impacts the United States, but we still need to watch it just in case, because as of right now, some of the spaghetti models do take it over the peninsula of Florida. So I am watching it closely, but I am not concerned right now. We also have another area of possible cyclone formation right there off to its east, just off the western coast of Africa. Lower chances on that. I think we're at 20. Yeah, we're at 10%. It's only a 10% chance that this one here off to the east forms. So I'm not too terribly concerned with that one as well. Eastern Pacific, we are sitting at an 80% chance that this red X here is going to form a cyclone in the next 5 days. 30% chance that that happens in the next 48 hours, but this will likely form, stay on the west coast of Mexico, and then travel west out to sea. It could impact the southern tip of Baja, but I'm definitely not expecting it to do what Tropical Storm K did and come up here and impact the southwest. Now, Christopher made a comment about the storms out there in Arizona, so we'll go ahead and take a look back at them briefly here. And again, folks, I am using Radar Omega. You are welcome to follow along with me with the app. And yeah, it does look like these storms may be getting their act together, especially these ones down here south of the border wall, the international border, down south of Mexican Highway 2. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these town names. But this is Highway 2 in Mexico right there. And it looks like some strong storms down here into Mexico. I'm actually not familiar with how we would even look and see if whatever meteorological society is in charge or agency is in charge in Mexico, like their weather service. I don't even know where to look and see if there's any sort of like warnings or anything. I actually have no clue how Mexico does their severe weather coverage. Canada, familiar with them, but not with Mexico. But these are actually, this is a kind of a string of pearls of semi-isolated cells here. Not very strong, but they are getting their acts together. These could cross the international border here into southeast Arizona and the southwest panhandle of New Mexico in the next couple of hours, so we need to keep an eye on them. But a severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect here to the northeast of Sierra Vista for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's for a thunderstorm that's located near Tombstone, Arizona, 12 miles north of Sierra Vista. It's moving northeast at 10 miles per hour. You can see a lot of lightning with this storm as well. Should we talk about Canada? I don't know. Maybe we should go ahead and talk about Canada. Looks like we've got some rainfall warnings. Now, guys, when we talk about Canada, holy smokes. What is that? They've got some goofy radars up here. When we talk about Canada, we have a different systems for warnings. We still have severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, but instead of flash flood warnings, they have rainfall warnings. For example, this is a rainfall warning that expires in multiple hours. Environment Canada says rain, heavy at times, is expected with total rainfall amounts of 50 to 75 millimeters by Wednesday morning. How many inches is that? That's about 2 inches. So from about 2 to 2.5 inches are expected by Wednesday morning. Heavy downpours can cause flash floods and water pooling on roads. Rainfall warnings are issued when significant rainfall is expected. Continue to monitor these alerts by Environment Canada. So all of these areas that are under these green outlines, basically this everybody in view here that's actually in Canada, you are under a rainfall warning. It's not as impressive as it sounds. It just means that there could be some flooding. It's basically the equivalent of what we might call a flood advisory or an aerial flood warning in our country here. But you can see this is remnants of that low pressure system, which is like somewhere right over here, that was influencing parts of Wisconsin, northeast Illinois, northwest Indiana, southwest Michigan, and bringing that slow-moving rainfall over the past couple of days up into, now the northeast, and we have this severe weather event happening here. Let me go ahead and switch. Actually, before we switch this back to the single site radar, I want to go ahead and zoom out and take a peek at anything else that's happening around the country. How about western Montana into the Idaho Panhandle? Nobody ever talks about them, ever. It seems like they're always missed. But that's, I mean, there's not a whole lot out there. I've only been out there a handful of times. But anyway, near Hamilton, right now, we've got some strong, I guess, strong is not a good word. We've got some moderate showers right here passing over Hamilton as they move off to the northeast. Nothing too significant. If we look at the southwest corner of the United States, we can see a couple of areas of interest, some special weather statements there, and a flash flood warning here north of Vegas. They'll take any rain they can get. That expires in 117 minutes, so about 2.5 hours or so. And a couple of areas of showers and storms peppered all over the southwest here. Let's go ahead and investigate this flash flood warning really quick. Look at this nice little lone cell here near Coyote Springs Valley here, just north of Las Vegas, up Highway 93 there where it splits off from Interstate 15. Flash flood warning in effect, and let's see if that's observed or not. Let's see, Doppler radar is indicating thunderstorms are capable of producing heavy rain over the warned area. Flash flooding is ongoing or is expected to begin shortly. It's radar indicated, so no real reports just yet. We can actually, in Radar Omega, use, let's see, 6-hour accumulation of precipitation. And let's try to get right down to it here. We've got about 2 inches with the inspector tool being indicated here just to the northwest of Coyote Springs along Highway 93. So definitely an appropriately warranted flash flood warning. We'll see if that gets confirmed later. Also, to the southwest of Flagstaff, we've got a cluster of some moderate showers and storms as well. Drew's wondering about Nebraska for severe weather this weekend, including Monday and also next week. Yeah, I think I made a mention about this earlier. I hinted to it. I'm actually watching this area right here on day 3, which I have to open my calendar. Day 1, day 2, which is Thursday into Friday. I'm watching this pink circle here for potentially a very, very, very low end, minuscule severe weather event. Now, I'm not one of these storm chasers. It's going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be a tornado outbreak. No, it's not, guys. There might be a severe storm or two out here. I mean, the radar literally might look like this. The radar might look like this on Thursday. Storm, storm. I mean, that could be it. But I am keeping an eye on that area for Thursday, maybe even Friday. And then the Storm Prediction Center actually mentioned previously in the day 4 through 8 outlook that this entire area right here could see a severe weather risk Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But don't take that as fact just yet. That is definitely subject to change. Tim says pictures of that southeast Arizona storm are on Discord. Folks, if you aren't in our Discord, you can go to the website, seethestorm.com. There's a link in this chat right now where you can actually go ahead and see those images. You can join our Discord for free. Kevin hopes we don't get any hurricanes because Dorian destroyed his yard. Yeah, it's possible that we don't get any U.S. landfalling hurricanes this year. It's entirely possible. How do radars determine if there's lightning? There's actually a nationwide lightning network that uses radio receivers to triangulate a lightning strike. All right, so we're going to go to school here for a second, folks, and I'm going to show you. Oops. First, I need to find some lightning on the map. And I'm going to give you an example of how lightning is detected. So let's break away from severe weather coverage for just a second, and I'm going to draw you some stuff. So we're going to go to school here and do some artwork. Okay, this is not to scale, but I need you guys to use your imagination. This is a lightning bolt. This right here is a lightning bolt, not to scale. I have never seen lightning cover the northern half of Cherry County, or that's not Cherry County, the northern half of Nebraska before. Never. But what we might have, let's just say, for example, we have these little red areas. We could have an antenna with a receiver here, an antenna with a receiver here, and an antenna with a receiver here. Now, I don't know if these are exactly where they're located, but this is one method of doing it. There is basically, when this lightning bolt strikes, it emits electrical signals, so to speak, in all directions. Now, hang on, this is a lot of work here. I'm just waiting for somebody to like tag Radar Omega and be like, "Oh, this look at what this guy uses your product for, Microsoft Paint." Don't do that. So if we look here, these blue lines here, let's pretend that those are the electrical pulses or the signal that this lightning bolt is putting off. We can see that this antenna, this one, and this receiver here are all picking up these signals. So I'm going to use orange here. It's going to get confusing. So we know that in reference to this antenna right here, or this receiver, that this lightning bolt is coming from this way. It's somewhere over to its northwest. This one over here knows that the signals or the lightning bolt was somewhere off to its east, okay? This one up here knows that this lightning bolt was somewhere off to its southwest. So all we have to do is simple triangulation. So if we have a common point where all these signals would come together, it's just simple triangulation. As long as we have 3 points, we can pretty accurately say right here, X marks the spot, there was a cloud to ground lightning strike right there. And that was absolutely beautiful. I'm really proud of that drawing. That was actually really bad, but I hope that answers your question. I'd be happy to explain it later, further later on. There's other methods as well, but that's a pretty common one with actual receivers, terrestrial receivers. Let's go ahead. Somebody was asking about an update for Massachusetts. We do have one strong cell moving into Pittsfield, Massachusetts. We've also got some stronger cells down here into southeastern New York, moving into western Massachusetts eventually. So if you're in Massachusetts, you've got a little while before any potential severe weather, but you definitely do need to keep an eye out. Do these storm detectors pick up on cloud? No, cloud to cloud lightning is oftentimes missed. There are apparently some ways of doing it, but typically, like these lightning bolts here, these are typically positive CGs, so they're typically cloud to ground lightning strikes that are actually getting picked up. And folks, if you are just joining me, we are in the Northeast. This area right here is of most concern. We have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings to the northeast of Albany, New York. We're going to go ahead and do an overview of them right now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 50 minutes for Bennington County in southern Vermont. We have another one that expires in 4 minutes, so don't even worry about that one. But another severe thunderstorm warning for 20 more minutes for Washington County for a storm near Salem. And you can see right here, I would expect that this area here is probably the line of the strongest winds coming right up to Highway 7 there. Mike asked why in Pennsylvania thunderstorms tend to die off. Typically, the farther east we go in the country, it's kind of difficult, especially up in the Northeast here, to have strong severe weather. We don't get we don't get as much energy in the atmosphere. Sometimes we can, but there's a million reasons as to why storms can die off. It could be topography influenced. A lot of folks say that, oh, the mountains don't affect the weather, they don't affect tornadoes, which, okay, yes, you can still get tornadoes in the mountains, but especially east of the Appalachians, the weather is different. So weather is influenced by terrain. When we've got that huge difference in terrain there, we can get the differences in temperatures and dew points on the upslope and the downslope sides, and that can extend for many, many miles on either side of a big mountain range. So part of it is from topography in Pennsylvania here, but a lot of it just has to do with its location in relation to the jet stream and the upper level wind patterns, and of course on a case-by-case basis. Every storm setup is different, so it's kind of a hard question to ask or answer, but typically, like, the reason we see the most tornadoes in the southeast and in Tornado Alley being in the center of the country, the southeast, Florida Panhandle all the way through northern Louisiana, there's a lot of Gulf moisture present in the winter months, so we can get those severe weather events when we've got troughs and basically favorable upper level wind patterns, I guess, to put it simply, for severe weather. Moisture is often a big limiting factor. We need moisture and dew points here for severe weather. That's why Tornado Alley in the southeast get more storms than, let's say, the desert southwest. Out in Arizona, we don't see tornadoes very often. It's not often we get moisture out there. Now we can with the monsoon season, but it's kind of similar here. We have multiple things that we need for severe weather, and to get them to all line up properly doesn't really happen everywhere. In some areas, it happens a lot more frequently. How would an individual go about getting in touch with someone to fix a radar hole issue? I have no idea. There's a lot of radar holes around the country. Let me show you on Radar Omega one thing here that has happened. I believe this is like the North Dakota Water Reclamation District or something. And if you don't have Omega, this is why you should get it. See these 3 radar sites right here? Those are not government, well, they are governmental, but they're not the National Weather Service NEXRAD radar sites. This one south of Dixon, this one near Williston, and the one near Newtown. Those are actually radar sites that have been installed by the local government to basically solve these radar holes. We have a radar site here in Bismarck that goes out and covers about this range. This one up in Minot covers about there. And the one in Billings covers like that. But you can see that does leave an entire area here that just doesn't get as good a radar coverage. So that's why they added these three. They are lower power radars and they don't go as far, but they do help. So a lot of times these universities and such, there's a couple, like there's one Mizzou down in Missouri, Missouri State, that put one up, and they are accessible like in the Radar Omega app, also online. I think you can even get them into GR Analyst or GR3 or whatever too, as well, so you can actually see those extra radar sites. Yeah, Zachary, this stuff in New York here, especially our severe thunderstorm warned area, does appear to be intensifying a little bit. In fact, we're getting a little bit of bowing structure right there. Yeah, we need to watch this storm here near Pittsfield. You can see that over the past couple of frames, the storm has gone up and then it's kind of diminished again. But I am keeping an eye on that for potential development out in front of the line here. We would call that kind of like a rogue supercell. We've got our main line back here. This one could develop out in front of it, but eventually if this thing keeps moving straight north, it's just going to get ingested into the line. But I want you to watch here near Arlington. If we actually follow this loop, it looks like maybe right here we are starting to get a little bit of a bowing segment where the storm actually starts to bow out. And that's because I'll notate that on the screen as well. We get these storms or the winds pushing in from the back like this, which we can also see is evident right there. Pushing in from the back, and they basically force that storm out as they blow from the back. So that would be an indication that the winds are definitely strengthening there between Manchester Center and Bennington. Real quick, I am going to go ahead and put the chat on screen here, and then I think I'm going to open up the Storm Prediction Center website as well. I'll go ahead and show everybody the actual NWS forecasts here. Uh-oh, did my keyboard stop working? Oh no. My keyboard quit working. You've got to be kidding me. All right. Well, I'm not sure what to do about that. Cool. All right. So I wonder if I can navigate to the SPC website somehow from the NHC. God dang it. You got to be kidding me. Hang on. Let me try something. Take the battery out. I don't know why this stuff always happens to me. Like every time. Come on, Bluetooth. All right, folks, I am going to fix this here one way or another. If I have to go get the old keyboard and actually plug it in, I guess I can. It's not that big of a deal, but let's see what we can do here. I'll go ahead and put the radar back on screen for the time being. Keeping an eye on that yellow box there. Did we just get a new severe thunderstorm warning? No, this is still the existing one there. Watch these storms bow out here as I fix my keyboard. Keyboard not connected. No kidding. We'll just delete the device and add it again. That always works. Fingers crossed. Still nothing. All right, everybody, stand by 1 second here. Let me go plug in the backup keyboard and see if I can figure out what's going on with this thing. It's only take about 2 seconds. All right, so we're gonna find out. Moment of truth here. Is the keyboard work? It is not working. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm just going to I think I'm just gonna airdrop the SPC to my phone here. Unbelievable. You got to be kidding me. So I have a workaround for this. I'm gonna iMessage myself the link, and then I'll click the link. This will always work, right? Sorry about this, folks. We will be good here in just a second. All right, check this out. That was painful. It is still not working. Like, what is going on? This piece of junk. Anyway, we've got a slight risk for severe weather here in the yellow. So if you are up there in the northeast United States, you've got a potential for seeing a severe thunderstorm today, although it's not super likely, I guess we should say. It is, I guess I can't zoom. It is a potential, as we have seen already today. Tomorrow, there is no chance for a severe thunderstorm. According to the Storm Prediction Center, this light green just means that general thunderstorms, like weak thunderstorms, are possible. And then day 3, there is still nothing, but they are mentioning that they could place maybe a marginal risk here. They have over portions of northwest Kansas to central Nebraska. However, they have opted not to at the moment to apply those increased probabilities. They do say here, an attendant trough will extend southwestward from the low pressure area to another weak surface low that's over the central high plains on Thursday morning. Northern portion of that surface trough will make modest eastward progress together with the present surface low, while the southern portion air mass remains largely stationary in tandem with the central plains low, which we were looking at on the models as well. If you were watching yesterday, we were taking a peek here at possibly some upper level flow and some favorable wind shear for severe weather in that area. They are saying that currently they are not adding any probabilities for severe weather to this outlook over the plains, just because of the vertical shear being relatively weak, which is understandable, and they're also concerned about buoyancy, so that's definitely understandable. Day 4 through 8, they are not highlighting anything. However, thunderstorms are anticipated again across upper Midwest day 5 Saturday evening and overnight as the low-level jet strengthens from the central plains into the upper Midwest. Medium range guidance continues to show run-to-run and model-to-model variability, with the evolution of an upper trough expected to drop into the Pacific Northwest on day 5 Saturday. More recent runs of that guidance have trended towards deep upper troughing over the western Kanas, which is us, the U.S., by day 6, in contrast to the more progressive evolution of the system in earlier runs. Some severe weather does appear possible whenever the system ejects into the plains, but variability within the guidance limits forecast confidence. But based on the most recent guidance, now this is the important part, the highest potential for severe thunderstorm activity is on day 7, Monday, from the central plains into the upper Midwest. So if I was a betting person, and I definitely am not, I would bet that we are going to be doing some sort of a storm chase, even if it's just looking at a blue sky on Monday, possibly Thursday. But I think Thursday and Monday we should be ready for some possible storm chasing. Yeah, Car, it's definitely Bluetooth issues. Don't buy this keyboard. Should have bought the Mac or Apple sells a $200 slim keyboard, and it's really, really nice, but I'm not spending $200 on a keyboard. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Yeah, that storm is definitely bowing out now, Zachary. I agree. Right here, we've got a bit of a bowing segment. I need I wonder, with Mac, I could probably sidecar an iPad and then draw with my finger. That's probably what we should do. But right here, this is bowing. Oh, more so. Wow, look at this. We are starting to get an MCS or a bowing line segment right here. Check that out. Back here, we've got the rear inflow coming in, pushing that storm out ahead. So again, this, the wind right here. This is our storm. This is the wind. It is literally pushing out and making it a C shape like that. So that's why we're seeing some strong winds out ahead of this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a severe thunderstorm warning to fill in that gap down there to the south. So if you're south of Manchester City along Highway 7, south of Arlington down to Bennington or Highway 9, even into Wilmington, Dover, anyone out in this area here, as far east as Bellows Falls, you're probably going to experience some significant winds here in the next couple of minutes. This severe thunderstorm warning has been issued by the National Weather Service, Albany, New York, for Bennington County in southern Vermont until 4:30 p.m. Eastern. The current time is 3:56 p.m. Eastern time. And now Albany is getting kind of a second round of thunderstorms. This is a round behind the first one. This round here we watched move through Albany at the beginning of the stream, which was about an hour ago. And now we are seeing kind of a second reinvigoration moving off to the northeast. This storm here near Pittsfield, we've been watching that. I told you guys that I am a little bit concerned at that one being the next severe weather candidate. You can see its track has been in this pink circle here over the past 45 minutes or so. You can see it started down there near I-90 and moved northeast, but it doesn't look like it's really strengthening too much. It's collapsed and reformed a couple of times, but I am keeping an eye on that. Let's take a peek elsewhere around the country. Currently, our only severe thunderstorm warning here is for Bennington, Virginia, or Vermont, rather. A couple of flash flood warnings, though, for Clark, Nevada, and Lincoln, New Mexico. Let's go ahead and look at some flash flood warnings here briefly. I think this one might be new. I think. I don't know if I've been to this area or not before. So here's one of my favorite cities in the world, Roswell, New Mexico. That is such a pretty, that is such a pretty area. When you're storm chasing in eastern New Mexico, you only have a couple of options. So your only options really to travel are 285 and 70. So if there's a storm out here, screw it. It's not happening. In fact, that happened once. There's a couple of little ranch roads that squiggle all over out here, but they're ranch roads. A lot of them are on private property. Some of it's open range, but even the ones that are public, they're in terrible shape. They're never maintained. Like, it's not even a road. It's like a path through a soybean field. Well, it's out there, it's a ranch, but you know, it's like a cornfield road. Like this Highway 246, don't even bother with it. But I love Roswell. I love coming in from Tatum on Highway 380 there. Man, I love this area. But you can see right here, look at this. What's going on here? We've got a lot of lightning indicated on the Alamogordo radar site near Holloman Air Force Base, but I don't see any precipitation. So here's radar lesson number one. Radar is all line of sight. So if this is the radar tower and there's a big mountain out here and it's taller than the radar signal, obviously that's going to prevent the signal from getting out. And right here, if we look at the topography, these are some raised areas. That indicates to me that we've got a mountain range right there. So the radar site being right here is hitting these mountains and is not able to go any farther. So we need to look at a different radar site. This one might pick it up. Yeah, look at that. See? Isn't that neat? So we've got radar coming from down here near El Paso. And the mountain range is a lot shallower right here. It's not as tall. So this radar beam is able to get out and hit these storms and bounce back to the radar site and give us an image of how that looks. So we do have some storms out here just to the west of Roswell. It's an absolutely beautiful area out here. If you've never been out here to Roswell, you definitely need to go. It is some of the prettiest area in the country. We do have a flash flood warning for flash flooding near the McBride burn scar. A half an inch of rain has fallen and an additional half inch is possible. Flash flooding is expected or ongoing. Excessive rainfall over this burn scar will impact Gavilan Canyon Road, Blue Lake Drive, Eagle Canyon Road, and areas downstream of the Rio Ruidoso, I guess. The debris flow will consist of rock, mud, vegetation, and loose materials. Thunderstorms producing flash flooding in and around the McBride burn scar can be life-threatening. So they're basically talking about they had some wildfires out in this area, and there's a burn scar. So basically, an area that's been burnt typically is awfully prone to flash flooding and debris flow. Clovis, New Mexico. Yeah, I love Clovis. I think my favorite area to drive through is there. It is this highway, I believe 380, all the way from Highway 82, basically from Lubbock all the way out to Roswell. That area is so pretty, but you will not find gas stations. So there's a gas station right here. I do know that there's a gas station right there. There's one here, and then I think this entire area is barren. I don't think there's a single gas station. So you really need to make sure you've got at least a half a tank, like right there. Otherwise, you're seriously going to have problems. There might be a couple of gas stations out there, but I think Tatum is the last one. If you want a very barren, empty drive from Tatum to Roswell. Beautiful area, but there's like nothing there. But Plains, Texas is another pretty one. If I was to pick one area that I had to chase storms in, and I had to stay in that one area, I definitely think I would say this is a big area, but I think I would pick right here. Now, this is a little bit farther west of Tornado Alley, but this high plains desert area is so pretty, especially down here, Amarillo, Lubbock, and points to Roswell. That is some of the best area to be in terms of sightseeing, in my opinion. I'm jealous of anybody that lives in that region. But yeah, if you are new here, definitely hit the subscribe button, please. It helps us pay our bills. Also hit the like button if you don't want to do anything else. Hitting the like button helps us immensely. I want to go ahead and take the time to thank our YouTube members that are scrolling below there. Those are our tier 2 or higher members. I have to manually update that ticker, so if you just joined as a tier 2 in the past couple of days, you might not be there. I typically update that once every couple of days. As a YouTube member, you'll get to see members only videos every single day, which is kind of cool. And we've got some other ones as well. So definitely consider joining as a member. And we got a new severe thunderstorm warning. Jesus Christ. Scared the hell out of me. That legitimately scared the heck out of me. So we got a severe thunderstorm warning here down here on I-40 for Navajo. So I was watching, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but there's another YouTuber that does weather updates, and this guy's got like 50 subscribers. And I was watching him, and this county I think had a flash flood warning a couple of weeks ago, and I was watching and I laughed, and I'm not picking on anybody, and I won't say his channel name, but he looks at this and he goes, Navajo. He goes, it's a flash flood warning for Navajo County. And I'm like, that is not Navajo. Okay, so Navajo County, right here. Severe thunderstorm warning between Winslow and Hallbrook for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's until 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time. A severe thunderstorm is near 8 miles northwest of Joseph City or 14 miles east of Winslow, moving northeast at 15 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and take a look at that on some higher resolution radar here. Wow, look at that. Holy smokes, we've got some intense storms right here. Where did they come from? I didn't see those earlier. So let's take a break from New York and go ahead and take a look at these here along I-40 in Arizona. Oh my God, look at that. They erupt out of nowhere. Those have erupted in like the past half hour. In fact, we could actually have some hail associated with this. Um, we've got another strong core south of Joseph City, but right here, where that blue is, let me use the inspector tool. I want to see. I think I saw 73. That's 70 dBz. So that's a really, really high reflectivity echo in the middle of that storm. Let's go ahead and look at velocity. Do we have anything interesting in velocity? We do have this area here of strong winds, but I suspect that could just be side lobe contamination from the radar. So let me take a peek where that actually lines up with reflectivity. So sometimes what'll happen if you see this, yeah, so this is split here in the middle. So the bright pretty colors over here, this is reflectivity, that's the rainfall. These over here, that's the wind, or the motion vectors, or the it's literally showing the wind of the rain droplets. So in the storm, or the movement of them rather. So we can derive wind, and this here does not coincide with any precipitation here. That's probably side lobe. Also, if we go ahead, or just contamination in general, if we go ahead and play that, actually that could be traffic on I-40. That actually could be traffic on I-40 that it's picking up. That's interesting because it's very stationary right here. So sometimes we can actually pick up traffic on the highway, and that actually could be what we're picking up right now. It's entirely possible. But I would not say that that is indicative or accurate here with the storm. One thing that we should also look at here is hydrometeor classification. So if we look here at these bright yellows, that's GH. That's for giant hail. So the radar thinks that giant hail could be falling there. Take this with a grain of salt. But basically our hail core is right here north of I-40, just northwest of Joseph City, Arizona. Let's go ahead and take a look at vertically integrated liquid. Yeah, so our hail core is right there. We probably do definitely have at least 1 inch hail falling. And we've got storm tops of about 42,000 feet, so it's a respectable looking storm. So I would definitely expect that there is probably ground truth observation of 1 inch hail falling from the storm, maybe even a little bit bigger. So we'll keep an eye on this to see if they boost those hail total or hail sizes up just a little bit. But we are also watching the storm here that's to the southwest of Hallbrook. That's intensifying. It's also got some clouded ground lightning strikes. If we take a look at that over the past couple of minutes, that's intensifying out of nowhere as well. Looks like maybe we've got some outflow here that's fueling it. Look at the storm up here. Holy smokes, these are all intensifying out of like nowhere. So we could still see some severe thunderstorm warnings pop out of these storms here that are along and south of I-40 in central Arizona. Let's go ahead and check on our severe thunderstorm warning here in New York. Yep, this thing's definitely bowing out here near Manchester Center. Nice bow segment, bow shape to that storm. It's moving to the east-northeast. See if we can pick up anything on the velocity. Oops. Yeah, so we've got an area of intense wind right there. Nothing too terrible much to write home about. We are looking quite a ways up in the storm. Not quite sure what it is at the ground level right there. I don't think we have any cyclone ports in that region either. We do not. So if you or anyone you know lives in this area here, here's Interstate 91 for reference. The spec here is New York. Albany, New York is down there. Manchester Center area. It's just had this big strong storm blow through Manchester Center, Dorset, Arlington areas. Bennington might even get in on some severe winds. But this area out ahead of the storm is not severe thunderstorm warned at the moment. But it could be soon, so I'll keep an eye on that and we'll see if that gets warned or not. Yeah, Zachary's right. This entire This entire complex now is strengthening and gaining some steam. In fact, down here, let's see if we have a closer radar site. We do not. Special weather statement for gusty winds down here. Not enough for a severe thunderstorm warning, but we do have 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts and pea-sized hail here. North of Poughkeepsie, along Highway 87, south of Catskill. That could go severe thunderstorm warned here soon. So if you're out to the east-northeast of the storm, we need to be using caution as well. You could get a severe thunderstorm warning here in the next couple of minutes to half hour or so. Let's go ahead and take a look at the HRRR model and see what it wants to do with these storms. So this is an idea of what the radar might look like all the way up until about 9 p.m. 11 p.m. So about 10 p.m. Eastern. So as you can see, we're playing this through. We've got this line of storms, which is right there, moving off to the northeast. It keeps this line fairly potent all the way into southern Maine right there, you can see. So again, this is a loop of what the radar could look like here over the next couple of hours until about 9 p.m. Central Time, so 10 p.m. Eastern, so about the next 7 hours. But I'm going to stay live here until these severe thunderstorm warnings look like they're closer to expiring. Jeff is in Salem. He said the storm wasn't that bad. They had some heavy rain, some thunder and lightning. That doesn't surprise me. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and locate Salem for everybody. Why are we not? Hang on here. We are on the wrong radar site. Folks, Salem is right here. So this storm just went through Jeff's area about half an hour ago, and Jeff did not report anything much more than some heavy rain. We'll keep an eye out. I'll stay live until this severe thunderstorm warning expires here, folks. Let's see here. Let's go back and take a look at this other severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like this strongest part of the storm here is north of I-40, moving off to the northeast. Nothing too terribly concerning there, but I think that the hail threat is definitely valid, and they have upgraded this to 1.75-inch hail, just as I suspected about 5 minutes ago. I am not surprised to see that they have upgraded the hail threat on this. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for this area north of Hibbard, Manila, and Joseph City, Arizona, east of Winslow, north of I-40. This is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 2:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 3:30 p.m. Central for Navajo County. At 2:07, severe thunderstorms located 8 miles northwest of Joseph City, 15 miles east of Winslow, moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. Golf ball sized hail now is possible. 60-mile-per-hour winds, and it is radar indicated. So no reports of this as well. But it is up to golf ball sized hail now. So they have increased the hail potential on that as expected. This is for Interstate 40, even though it's north of 40 now. So you can disregard these mile markers at this point, but 263 and 274, between 263 and 274 mile markers here and here. But the storm is well north of I-40, and it is trucking off to the northeast at about 15, 20 miles per hour. And this looks like a pretty barren land here too. This is all relatively rural. So this should remain over rural parts of the area, but I'm also watching the storm here south of Joseph City. It has intensified here over the past couple of minutes. This storm up here that's approaching wide ruins up here. That storm is also looking a little bit interesting as well, with some lightning being detected as well. So that could also be an intensifying storm. Let's go ahead and look at the national radar here. Pretty quiet. Not a whole lot happening. You can see some areas of broken showers and storms here out west. Lots of showers and storms up here in the northeast. And a whole lot of nothing happening right there in the middle. Quiet day. What are we sitting at here for temp? Here in southern Wisconsin, we're up to 83 degrees already. Oh, man. Actually, let me get a more accurate reading here. Let me turn my fan on the cyclone port. That's on my car parked outside. So watch this temperature most likely drop here in a couple of seconds. There's a fan in this unit, and that allows the air to be pulled up through the top of the car, heats up in direct sunlight. It causes a bit of a problem. Last update was at 15, 16, 13, 18. No, it's not dropping, so about 83 degrees is an accurate temperature. Here in southwest or south central Wisconsin. I better hurry up and get home and enjoy this nice weather. Still keeping an eye on these strong thunderstorms here in the northeast. You know, and this is, we're going to be having a big pattern change here shortly, guys. I want to go ahead and actually open up. I'll let this play through a few minutes here, and then I'm going to open up and show you folks basically a model run here of the temperatures here for the next week or so, and they're hot. Temperatures are going to be hot. Luckily, I still have our model viewer up. And, thanks for joining me, everybody. If you do have questions, comments, or whatever, do feel free to put them in the chat. Of course, don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share it with your friends as well. And again, I try to put this out at least 3 times in a video. Thank you to all of our YouTube members down there, our super chatters as well. I'm working on getting a way to automatically update all of our super chatters as well, so you can actually, when you send a super chat, you will actually show at the bottom of the screen in the ticker as well. No, Mark, I'm not sweating. It's actually comfortable in here. It's just the lights. Everything's good here. I am working on pulling up the temperature here. On the GFS. All right, let's go ahead and go back to that. All right, so if we go ahead and look at GFS temperatures here, now this is the GFS model. Now take these lightly. I'm going to get a lot of backlash from some of the more higher up meteorologists for showing this, but this is a model run. What I'm about to show you is not an official forecast, so take it very, very carefully. Oftentimes, GFS is pretty good with temperatures, though, so I'm pretty confident with some of this stuff, but I am not, you know, super. It's hard to explain. You want to take this very lightly because it is subject to change, not an official forecast. But the GFS does indicate the temperatures on, well, Thursday or Wednesday evening. Look at this. We've got 90-degree temperatures in the white here, 90, 95-degree temperatures all the way from Brownsville, Texas, all the way up darn near to the Canadian border. And we've got 80s in the southeast again, pushing back into the central part of the Midwest here. Lots and lots of warm temperatures. So it's going to get hot. Let's go ahead and pull this forward again to Thursday afternoon. Upper 80s, low 90s, pretty much everywhere in the country. Even the Pacific Northwest is up around 80 degrees. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning in Arizona. Let me see if that's populated real quick. Just want to make sure it's nothing too terrible important. Okay, it's not populated yet. We'll go back to that in a minute. But if we go ahead and pull this up to Friday afternoon, we are still looking at 90-degree temperatures in the central part of the country, so it is still going to be hot. Let's go ahead up until Saturday afternoon. 90 to 100 degrees here in the central part of the country. Let's go all the way up to Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, this is where it gets concerning. We've got heat problems here. 103 degrees, 101, so definitely into the hundreds here. Parts of Kansas. This heat wave is going to cover everywhere from the Rockies all the way to the Appalachians and beyond here. This is a very big heat wave we're going to have coming in. I'll show you one more day's worth of this. Monday afternoon, not much relief. 90s all the way, even east of the Appalachians. From the Rockies to the Appalachian Mountains, guys, it's going to be hot. So we definitely need to be careful and take those precautions because, we get these high temperatures and stuff, and folks sometimes don't slow down and they get injured outside, heat-related injuries. I think this is our severe thunderstorm warning that we were watching down to the south here that now has been extended. Yep. We've been watching this storm for a little while now. Severe thunderstorm warning to the south of Wilcox, Arizona. This is for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts here, and the storm is moving off to the northeast. It's about to cross Highway 191. So we definitely want to keep an eye on this one here. This is going into a pretty rural area, though. But it's possible that it could intensify, maybe a little bit bigger of a hail core on it again. But look at all this lightning here that's associated in and around it. Lots of cloud to ground lightning strikes in just the past 5 minutes. Even some dry lightning down here near Double Adobe. And again, we've got lots and lots of isolated, scattered, semi-discrete cells out here. Any of these could go severe thunderstorm warned. But like I said, most of these are in a relatively rural environment. And then let's go ahead and cover this one up here near Winslow, northwest of Hallbrook here, north of I-40. Again, this hail core is coming down a little bit. This thing is warned for another 8 minutes. It's back down to 1-inch hail. So they've lessened the hail threat on it. It's back down to 1-inch hail at 60-mile-per-hour winds, and it's moving off to the northeast. Joseph City, you are in the clear of it. Winslow, you are in the clear, and I-40, you are in the clear. This is going to approach Highway 7 and 6 right here, but I don't know if it's going to be very strong when it does. This cell just south of Joseph City is one we should watch. It's going to go between Joseph City and Hallbrook and cross I-40 in about 5 to 10 minutes, but it doesn't look like it's going to reach severe limits at the moment. Let's go ahead and go back to covering our severe thunderstorm warning here in parts of New York real quick. Like I said, I'm going to stay live here until this warning expires. So this warning has been trimmed. They've canceled the warning here back west of Highway 7, which is good news. If you are in Manchester Center, you're in the clear. No worries at all, but you can see we've bowed out here quite a bit. So these winds feeding in from behind are pushing that out. Once again, we imagine, my hand being the storm, and these strong winds back here, they push the middle of that storm out. So that's causing, or an indication rather, it's not a cause, it's an indication that we have some strong winds in here. So typically our strongest winds with severe thunderstorms are located in this blowing segment, which is headed straight for Springfield, Vermont. This will be crossing into New Hampshire before we know it, but it looks like they might not continue it. We don't have a severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of it just yet, so we'll see if they issue one or not, because this severe thunderstorm warning expires in about 5 minutes, and it's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and less than nickel-sized hail. To the farther to the south of that, we still have a pretty strong storm here down along Highway 87, south of Albany, approaching eventually here probably into the Pittsfield, Massachusetts area. If we go ahead and put this back into motion, this is moving to the northeast now. It is moving to the northeast at probably about 25-30 miles per hour. I'll get an exact speed on that momentarily here. It's actually moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. This is not warned, but it is probably approaching criteria. So let's go ahead and put a storm track on this. Okay, I take that back. I can't because we're having the keyboard issues. That's excellent. But anyway, anyone here that's between Highway 9 and Great Barrington, Massachusetts, you folks need to be on alert as this storm is moving off to the northeast and could bring some severe weather if it intensifies any further. So anyone that's in this blue special weather statement box, with the exception of anybody back here in the corner where the storm has already gone through, take that a little bit seriously here, as we could potentially see a severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of it. No reason to panic or anything right now. If we do see one, it would probably be in the next couple of minutes, because it does look like this section of the line here is intensifying, and I will keep an eye on that as well. Let me go ahead and show you that slight risk for severe weather today, so you know what areas to expect to see severe storms in. If you folks are located in this large yellow circle, you have the highest risk today to see severe thunderstorms. I'm going to go ahead and create an exception for this polygon back here. This northwest corner of that area most likely will not see any more severe weather, but it's possible. So take this lightly. The Storm Prediction Center does maintain that slight risk for severe weather back here, but I think that most of the storms are out of that area. Especially you folks here out ahead of this Boeing segment. You folks have probably the higher potential at seeing some strong winds. Right now, lots of people have asked about Massachusetts and this area right here, north of Springfield and northwest Massachusetts. I don't see much of a threat right now. Your nearest short-term threat would be the storm back here in southeast New York that's moving off to the northeast. Not currently severe warned though. But right now, it does look like the severe thunderstorm warning here for Manchester Center is going to expire in a couple of minutes. And if it does, then we'll go ahead and we will probably end the live stream. But still, a strong storm is going to be approaching Interstate 91 here over the next couple of minutes here. Yeah, Mark, we're redoing the wrap on the vehicle as well, so it's going to look quite a bit different here, probably in the next month or two. And we'll be back out storm chasing this week, it looks like. Let's check on our severe thunderstorm warning here on I-40. And again, thanks everybody for joining me. Pretty low turnout today, but it is the middle of the day, so what do you expect? Strong thunderstorm here. This severe thunderstorm warning, they're going to let that expire. I'll bet you they're going to let that expire. It's for another 3 minutes. It's for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That thing's, it's out of here, I'll bet you. No worries there for Navajo County. Down here near Sierra Vista, do we have a different story? This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for another half hour for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's been prompted by that storm right there, moving off to the northeast. It looks like we could have some dry lightning down here too. Lightning not really associated with a severe storm. Looks like we've got a decaying shower here in that area too. Let's watch this area right here and see if we have a severe storm that decayed. We did, yeah. Here's that little storm I mentioned earlier near Bisbee that we needed to keep an eye on. It's definitely nothing we need to watch now, but just some kind of monsoonal type storms there over the southwest. Nothing right now going on in the country that you need to be too terribly concerned about. Special weather statement up here near Elko or south of Battle Mountain, Nevada. Expires in 1 minute. Not even gonna worry about that. This one here is for gusty wind. So it looks like these showers and light thunderstorms here in Nevada could be producing gusty wind. Wouldn't be surprised if we've got some very light wind gusts here and some brief downpours west of Salt Lake City. Flash flood warnings are going to remain in effect here in southern Nevada. We've got a flash flood warning there and there, just northwest of, or northeast of Vegas. All these green boxes here, these are rainfall warnings in Canada. Canada is basically saying that Some flooding could be caused by excessive rainfall in those areas. Nothing too concerning, of course. All right, so it looks like that's going to expire. So let's go ahead and take one more look at everything else. So we are going to wrap up this live stream. I want to thank everybody for watching, but first let's take a look at the tropics because everybody wants to know about that. Not much happening right now. In fact, let's go one step further. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning in Vermont has expired. Let's go one step further and look at the satellite view. 1 second here. Pull that up real quick. All right, we'll get that pulled up here in just a second. I'll give you a little bit of a wider shot here of the new studio here. We've gone with red lights today instead of purple. Let's go ahead and cover these storms in the Atlantic. So currently, these are not tropical storms or hurricanes or anything. In fact, this is the west coast of Africa back here. This is Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic. So right here, this is our main area of concern right now. The Hurricane Center has given this a 40% chance of formation of a tropical cyclone in the next 5 days. So that's a medium chance. This one back here is only a 10. And I do believe that's probably for this area right there. But this area right here that's moving off to the west-northwest, is a little bit of concern. And the only reason being for that is because this is progged to potentially develop over a populated area into Puerto Rico. Now, there's a couple of models that I'm not going to show you because I don't want to cause panic, but some of them do show a tropical storm coming into Florida. Kind of the spaghetti models kind of look like that. But here's the deal. They're just models, and it's quite a ways out. We don't even know if this system is going to form into a cyclone yet. So if it does, we'll get a tropical depression, and then a storm, and then maybe a hurricane. But I would say give this about 3 or 4 days. If this thing forms, we'll be a little bit better at predicting it. The models will have better data. The National Hurricane Center will probably fly reconnaissance into it. But once this disturbance gets to about here, we'll have a much better idea if it's going to go out to sea, if it's going to continue west and die over the terrain, or if it's maybe going to come up here and impact this bended region there, like the Georgia coast. We just don't know. It's too early to tell. So if anybody is telling you that a hurricane's going to form out of this, they're flat wrong, they're lying. And if they tell you that absolutely nothing's going to happen, they're flat wrong, lying too, because we just don't know what's going to happen. That's why it's only got a 40% chance of development somewhere in that region in the next couple of days. So we're going to keep a close eye on that as well. Let's go ahead and look at that disturbance in the East Pac. And again, this is just satellite view here. This is off the southwest coast of Mexico, the coastline being right there, Mexico being right there, obviously. So this red area here has the highest chance at developing. In fact, it's pretty likely. It's an 80% chance that a cyclone develops somewhere in there in the next 5 days. It's actually a 30% chance that happens in the next 48 hours from now. And you could see lots of convection peppered all over this region. So we probably will get something to form somewhere in here. And then it will track off. A couple of the models last night had it going off toward the Baja and then going west. Some of the models today had it just going off to the west, but it's not going to be another K, even though K didn't actually really impact us too much. Let's take a look at the CONUS. So I'm actually going to end here with, we'll look at the long wave here. So this is indicating cloud cover and density and everything. So we've got some dense cloud cover out here in the west, of course the northeast, but look, it's got clear skies and probably beautiful weather here down there in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, even into portions of southern Mississippi and Alabama and the Carolinas. Probably a pretty nice day as well. In fact, I think it's a fairly nice day here in the Midwest. Like I said, my cyclone port data here from Radar Omega is showing 85 degrees outside here. That's up 2 degrees since just a couple of minutes ago. So it is cooking out there. I'm going to do one last overview of our radar here. Got this slight risk for severe weather up here in the northeast. We could still see some stray severe thunderstorm warnings up here, but don't panic. It's probably not going to be anything too severe. No severe thunderstorm warnings remaining right now. Severe thunderstorm warning up here north of I-40 has dropped. No more concern there. And we've got one down here south of I-10 still. That severe thunderstorm warning is northeast of Sierra Vista. It's for 1 inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. It is 28 miles south of Wilcox, Arizona, moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. Could eventually impact this part of I-10. A flash flood warning in California, 2 in southern Nevada. A couple of strong storms with some gusty wind out there in Nevada. Flash flood warning out here between Alamogordo and Roswell as well. All right, everybody. So thank you so much for joining today. I want to thank everybody for all of your participation in the chat, liking the video, subscribing, etc. I am going to do a live stream tomorrow as well. If there's no severe weather, I'm going to try to do it later on in the evening. If we're actually driving out to the plains for some reason, like the severe weather threat actually materializes, then we'll do it from the car. But all of this equipment here, in fact, I'll give you a zoomed out view, even though it's not very zoomed. This is just a very small section of the studio. We've got lots of sound panels, lots of lights. But you folks, the super chatters, the PayPal contributors, all of you folks have allowed us to do this. And I want to thank you guys very personally so much. If you've submitted a super chat, shared the video a like, if you're a YouTube member, you've done a PayPal contribution in the past couple of months, because you're allowing us to do this, because this was not cheap. But this allows us to produce content when we're not out on the road. We are 100% funded by ourselves here. We don't receive money from anywhere. We used to sell our streams to several venues, but that we haven't actually done a live stream through any other media source for months. So we are self-sufficient here, and I am very proud that we were able to do all this. So we're going to be putting some photos back there and some other stuff to make it look really nice. But for now, that's all I have. I probably will not be doing another live stream tonight. I think I'm actually going to go get some tasks done here with the studio. But this area of severe weather potential, this area of severe weather potential here in the northeast, just keep an eye out if you live up there, have a way to receive those watches, warnings, and advisories. So again, weather pattern is going to be changing here, folks. It's going to get super, super hot here, especially in the central part of the country. So take care, everybody. I sincerely hope you all have an excellent evening, an excellent night. Members, I'm going to go ahead and put the members only video up a little bit later tonight than normal. But again, thank you to our super chatters, members, etc. Have a good night, everybody, and I will catch you on the next live stream.